I'd like to call tonight's public safety meeting to order. With our first item on the agenda is the report from our police chief. I see Chief Slavin's on the call. Chief, welcome back and glad to have you here this week.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Attached is the August 2025 monthly report. In reviewing the monthly report for that month of August, I noticed our numbers continue for calls for service continue to climb. We have seen a reduction in some important areas that I'm happy about. Thefts being number one. Retail thefts have continued to decline since April, which is a very good sign. We've been working on that as the board of commissioners are aware as well. One area of concern is vehicle theft in our community. It's a regional issue, but it's something we see. We're seeing an increase in over the summer. We've seen probably a 5% increase in vehicles being stolen in our community. It's not one section of the town; it's across our township. So not one particular vehicle in particular. It's different types of vehicles and situations. Each one's a little bit different. So we're looking to address that in an aggressive manner as well. Traffic citations, consistent with what we've done in the last couple of months here, the increases of those, car stops as well. Our calls to domestic violence calls are up slightly for the month, but overall down for the year, which is a good sign as well. Does anybody have any direct questions regarding the monthly report for the month of August?
Hey, Chief, I do have something. I know it's August, but I'm going to kind of skip ahead. How are we looking for the bus patrol for September with school starting? And I know that will be in your report next month, so I'm sorry, but I'm just very curious to see, has that gotten any better than the way we ended the year last year?
Actually, yes. As you know, I've met with the school administration regarding this. We looked at the whole bus patrol issue. We've been trying several different avenues to try to lower the amount of violations we're seeing, through public education being number one, through looking at some of the stops and why we're seeing a high number of violations at certain locations. The school has been very receptive to helping us with this problem, and we're looking to relocate a couple of the high incident stops off major arteries. Most of them are occurring on major arteries. So there has been progress from our previous meetings regarding bus patrol. We continue to do our advertisement on this. We're trying to get the word out. Other communities are also now utilizing this program as well, which I think will be a help to us. That we're not a one-off. It seems like this is the norm now. Everyone should be aware of this. So that I think that'll be a help as well. So like I said, it's a continued work in progress, but we are seeing some positive instances from that conversations.
All right, so we'll wait for your September report. Commissioner Arman. Here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I have two questions, sort of unrelated. One has to do with I look at the police blotters that come out every day, and I don't know if it's just me, but I'm noticing an uptick in the number of 911 hangups. And I'm wondering if it's just me or you're seeing that trend as well, and if you are, if there's any reason that may be happening, and frankly, what are the resources that are expended on these hangups when if they are increasing, and how does that affect you guys?
I don't have the number of the increase in front of me with that the calls for service. Obviously listening to the radio every day, that's part of things. 911 calls, accidental hangups, they're very similar to alarm calls, false alarm calls. We have the same impact on resources. The police are going to respond to the location to make sure everyone's okay there. So we are expending resources and manpower hours to address those calls. We'll look at that number and see where we're at with that and what we can do about that. For an alarm or something along those lines, we can address that directly with the business or the alarm owner, and then try to reduce those incidents, to reduce the whole number of calls for service as well. So it is an important number. It is important to look at, and it is a drain on resources. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to reduce those incidents.
Thank you, Chief. My other question, completely unrelated, is there's been a lot in the press and locally, some chatter about an incident at the school, at the high school, and I'm curious, to the extent you're able to tell us. Obviously, not talking about any operational or confidential information, but to what extent is the police department liaising with the school district in order to either help audit, help advise, and help ensure that our kids are safe when they go to school? Because frankly, the report that came out from NBC 10 and some of the comments at last night's school board meeting are somewhat troubling.
As you know, I have a great respect and rapport with Dr. Scriven, our school superintendent. In regular contact with Dr. Scriven. We had a conversation today regarding the school board meeting there. We have 2 pending investigations now, 2 arrests that were made by the police department involving school district properties. One was the administration building, one was at the high school. One involved a 19-year-old person coming into our school, former student at Cheltenham High School, and then pulling the fire alarm. Police responded, apprehended the male. He was in possession of a airsoft, a makeshift model weapon. It wasn't an actual firearm, but it was a model close enough to look at, would give you concern taking a look at it. But it was like an aerosoft type gun, not a real firearm that could fire bullets. But this obviously is very concerning. Speaking to Dr. Scriven, they're reevaluating their procedures there. Somewhere there was a breakdown to get to allow this person to get onto a school bus and then get into the school property there. So they are reevaluating their processes there. I'm available to him as always to go through those and make suggestions. As you know from the news report, the township or the school district is reaching out to various vendors to take a look at services, to take a look at procedures there to see how they can improve their security methods there as well. But I'm in constant contact with Dr. Scriven there. Any resource that I can provide him to help him, I'll be glad to do that. And like I said, we spoke today as well. So that's ongoing conversations as well on that and what we can do to ensure the safety of our students.
Appreciate that, Chief, and appreciate your vigilance going forward so that we can be more proactive than reactive. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Lewis.
Yes, thank you. Chief, can't ask you a question without acknowledging first and foremost the great work that you and your team does on a daily basis. You make us proud. Is it unusual for this time of year for there to be an uptick in number of domestic calls?
Actually, no, it's actually when the weather changes, actually, when it gets colder out, we see an increase in them, to answer your question. But we have seen a decrease in that overall number in comparison to 24 and 25. The numbers are going down, which is very important. Yeah, I would say mostly when people are confined in areas is when we have more time to address to those calls.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rappaport.
Yeah, thanks very much. And this isn't specifically to this report, but to a circumstance that we're all experiencing starting today with the detours at the Church Road intersection and that area. And I know you can't expect the first day to go smoothly, but wow, I saw one of these enormous tractor trailer trucks trying to figure out what to do, and it was not pretty. And there's a lot of traffic, especially zooming through Barker Road, among other places, just because they don't, the signs just went up, and it just started. And but I think people would feel a lot more reassured if we had a police presence in that area, so that people feel that there is some safety, and just monitoring it, so that if there are ways to improve what is traffic chaos in some places, it would be appreciated. I think we want to prevent problems rather than come after the facts.
Commissioner Rappaport, could you kind of just tell us what location on Church? You just said Church Road.
Well, the intersection problem, the whole
Church
Greenwood, Church and Rice's
Green.
Mill, Barker Road. Just to answer your question, Commissioner, we had officers assigned out there today to evaluate that. First day was a mess. We made notes. I sent an email to the manager this afternoon on our observations from the officers who were boots on the ground at those locations that you mentioned.
Thank
We'll
you.
continue to monitor that. Usually takes a few days for people
That's
to
what
figure
I've
this
been
out as
saying
well.
too.
So I don't want to speak for PennDOT, but I'm sure they're going to say you have to give us a chance to unfold and for drivers to be okay. This is what's happening here. I get it now. Our presence out there, we definitely want to maintain our presence. We will continue to do that as well. But we're going to reevaluate this. I've already had conversations with some staff already regarding this detour. It seems like everywhere you go anymore around anywhere. It seems like it's a road closure, it's a detour or something like that. So it seems a lot going on. But this particular issue here, we want to make sure we get this right. There's a lot of volume that goes through there on some streets that normally don't see it. So I understand what you're saying. We are monitoring that. We will make suggestions. As I said, I forwarded an email to the manager today based on our observations there today. What we saw, I'm hoping for improvement as people are familiar now with the signs, the detours, and how it'll affect them. So I will continue to monitor that.
Could I?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Follow up
Commissioner
on
Chirico, go ahead.
Yeah. So if we do have to place police there for traffic calming measures or directing, this is a project that will last quite a long time. Is that something that we end up footing the bill for, or because it's PennDOT and PennDOT's project, we can charge them for police being forced to sit there in order to maintain some semblance of sanity and structure?
I know we're not billing them, Commissioner, for that. We're assigning officers out there from our community response unit, which is traffic, one of their duties out there. So this is a normal function for them, but I understand what you're saying. This is a prolonged, drawn out thing, and we're spending resources on that. Can we get reimbursement for that? Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay, I can have a conversation with the manager about that if that becomes an issue for us, or if we need to do a stepped up detail or something along those lines, we can certainly approach them with that. But I'll have a conversation with the manager about that. We'll monitor that as well, see how much resources we're putting into that, and we can go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chirico. Thank you, Commissioner Rappaport. Any other commissioners' questions in reference to our police chief for tonight? All right, not seeing any. I call for the approval of item 1A, the police chief report for August 2025. Mr. President.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
We're going to move on item 1B, our fire marshal report for August 2025. Fire Marshal Lynch, it's all yours, sir.
Any questions on my submitted report?
Any questions for Scott for tonight? Oh, Scott, you're not on the hot seat, sir. All right, I'm going to call for the approval of item. Or Scott, do you have any comments in reference to your report or anything you want to update us on?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we're going to call for the approval of item 1B, the fire marshal report for August 2025. Mr. President.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. We're going to move on now to item 1C, the emergency medical service chief, Jessica Bartow. I see that you're on this call. Go ahead, Jessica. It's all yours.
I realize that I'm dark. I apologize. I'm in Connecticut right now. Hi. Does anybody have any questions about my report?
Any questions for Jessica tonight? Not seeing any commissioners report. Jessica, anything that you would like to report before we move on?
I would just like to let the public know that because of the construction that is going on, it is causing EMS to have to divert our areas and not a quick and direct response at times. So please be a little bit patient with us. We are working on finding alternative solutions to this problem, but it is going to be a long process. So please be kind and understand that we are doing our absolute best. The other thing is we did last week do some improvements to our station with grant money. We did do some painting and updated the building. So if anybody wants to stop by and see as our crew members are calling it, the beach house, please feel free. It looks great, and our staff did a wonderful job. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jessica. Commissioner Ziegenfeld, I see your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question, sorry to bug you when you're in Connecticut. Just wondering, if you can take a minute to talk about the EMS membership mailing, what we're looking for, and when is that going to be coming out? You have a larger than usual audience tonight, and I think there's a lot of people that really don't know what that membership mailing represents, both in terms of benefits and also in terms of providing support to the EMS services.
Oh, absolutely. So annually, we send out a mailer to our residents to give them the opportunity to support EMS. Our prices, it is $35 for a senior individual, $70 for a senior couple, $60 for a non-senior individual, and $100 for a family. And what that does is not only gives EMS money to continue to operate, but for the benefit of the person who subscribes or participates in the membership, it will allow us to write off any out-of-pocket expenses. So if you call 911 and get transported to the hospital, and most insurances have a copay for this service, and that will be written off. There are other times where people will call 911 for a service and decide that they don't necessarily need to go to the hospital. They just want EMS to come out and check them out, maybe give them some treatment on the scene and then leave. Most insurance companies do not cover that. So there is a bill generated for that service as well. And if you are a member, we will write off that bill as well.
Also, Jess, isn't it important to know that, for instance, for seniors who have Medicare coverage and also have that benefit, if there's a charge for ambulance services, whether it's through their carrier, et cetera, there are, by being a member, your amount of out-of-pocket gets dramatically reduced, correct?
Correct. Most insurances nowadays, most seniors are with a Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Advantage plans have, most of them have a copay, and that copay would be waived.
Great. So it's important when you receive that mailing, it's an appeal that actually has significant benefits to a very modest subscription price. So even from Connecticut, you continue to provide great service. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Commissioner Zigman-Feld. Commissioner Norris, I see your hand, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bartow, following up on Commissioner Zigman-Feld's concern for the revenue that is needed by your department to provide to fund the excellent service that you provide. I wanted, again, because we have a larger audience tonight, to make sure everyone knows Cheltenham is one of the few townships that has its own EMS service. It's an internal department funded by the township, funded by your taxes, and that provides the EMS service. Most other townships, they're dealing with outside services such as second alarmers or other ambulance services. So I'm not saying that other townships aren't providing good service, but to any of you who feel that Cheltenham's EMS service is better, providing faster service, controlled by the township, not by a private outside for-profit entity, you should consider not only the membership fee that Commissioner Zigman-Feld was considering, but there are opportunities to make additional contributions for this service. But again, it's one of the services that the township provides, which, if it wasn't clear, the revenues that are generated from this service do not equal the expenses. The expenses every year are significantly higher, and lately, the gap between the expenses and the revenue has been increasing. So this is another issue why the presentation you saw tonight is showing tax increases. Thank you.
Dennis, could you take a moment to tell the public what the actual expense line item is in this proposed budget for EMS? Just so they have, some people want it some clarity on the dimensions of the line items. Maybe that kind of helps to put some of the discussion in perspective. Are you still there, Janice?
I don't know if Janice is still there.
Okay.
Allison is,
Allison, can you dig that one up quickly?
yeah.
Sure, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What is the expense line item, the total expense for EMS proposed for 2026?
I believe off the top of my head, it's somewhere around $2 million.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see it is a service that we've continued to provide to our public. It has a lot of expenses that we can't control. And so it's something that, again, is reflective of some of the kinds of judgments and some of the kinds of discriminations that we're in the process of trying to make for 2026 and beyond. So I think it's important with all the people on tonight to give them at least a little more perspective where we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ziegler. Any other commissioners tonight for Ms. Salerno? Bartos, I'm sorry, Ms. Bartos? No? All right, we're going to call for the approval of item 1C for our emergency medical service chief for August 2025.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're going to move on to
Thanks,
item
Chief.
1D now. Thank you, Ms. Bartos. We're going to move
Thank
on to item 1D, Emergency Management Coordinator, Mr. Ken Hillendahl.
Hello.
Sir, it's all yours.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Ken.
Good evening. I have nothing to add to the report. Fortunately, busy month, but no big emergencies.
Fantastic. Any questions for Ken for tonight? Commissioner Ziegler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question here, and that is, Ken or Kim, could you there's been some concerns expressed by the residents about the fact, for instance, that on Halloween, there's some requests for street closures, et cetera. There have been some broad answers given, but maybe you can just take a second to explain why, in many cases, it is not something that the township can sustain in terms of certain areas because of public safety and because of some of the, I think, things that people don't realize comes along with road closures, et cetera. So if you don't mind, Mr. Hellendahl, that would, I think, be helpful. Again, we have a larger than normal audience, and many of the people on tonight are interested in many facets of our community life.
So unfortunately, for safety concerns, and I'll explain what they are in a minute, we have denied all road closures for Halloween. Unfortunately, when we started looking at all of the incidents that have occurred around the country, including places like New Orleans, where people drove down sidewalks and killed people. There was another one recently in upstate New York where, fortunately, a police sergeant noticed a woman that was driving down the road and was going to run down people in a 5K race. We made the decision earlier in the year, and people who have come to big events have seen we no longer use wooden barricades. We are using trash trucks and dump trucks. And when we did road closures for Halloween, it only took the traffic to the next street over or the third street over where people might not be as familiar, and probably had as many trick-or-treaters on that street, thus causing people on a street where they didn't know the street as well. The other thing in viewing the majority of the requests we've had, all the streets have sidewalks, and we are encouraging people to use the sidewalks and cross at the corners. We have talked to some of our neighbors. One neighbor does not allow any block parties after dusk. And so this was for your safety. I know several people I've spoken with have said, well, we've done it for 20 years. 20 years ago, it was probably safe. Unfortunately, the environment is changing. Emergency management is now responsible for permits and parties and block parties. We're not doing it alone. We're doing it with the police chief and community policing, and this was a decision made as a team for the safety of the residents and the trick-or-treaters. I hope that answers the question, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Hillendahl.
Thank you, Ken. I know you and I spoke about this earlier this afternoon. I told you that I was on board. Anything that we can do to keep our kids and our residents safe, that's all we're doing. We're doing it for that reason. We're not being anti-Halloween or anything like that. We just want to keep our kids safe.
And just understand, I wish it was 20 years ago too, not just because I'd be 20 years
You'd be
younger.
20 years younger.
No, but this environment, I mean, I would have never dreamed in my time here that we'd be using trash trucks and stuff like that for large scale events and buying concrete barriers to block sidewalks because we're concerned about safety. But that is today's environment. And you know, I don't like it, but it's a fact of life.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions tonight for Ken? Not seeing any, I call for the approval of item 1D, the Emergency Management Coordinator report for September of 2025.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, Ken. Have a good evening. We're going to move on now to the Fire Board, our two committee meetings. The Fire Board met on September 4th, 2025. We'll go back to Mr. Lynch to see if anything that you have to add or if there's any questions from any commissioners.
Nothing to add, sir.
Well, Mr. Lynch, I want to say something, and Commissioner Ziegler brought this up. We have a large crowd. I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about your volunteer firefighters and what you're going to be doing to maybe send some mailers out. You have a lot of people who are normally not on this call. You want to take the opportunity to speak to them about that.
Sure. Each individual fire company in the township is always looking for volunteers for both firefighting and administrative purposes. If anybody's interested, you can stop by your local company. All their information's on our website, also at the township. They all have their individual websites and Facebook pages and all that. But we encourage everyone in the township to continue to support the volunteer services. And if there's any questions, I'll answer questions.
Thank you. Anything from the commissioners in reference to the Fire Board meeting of September 4th? If not, I call for the approval of item 2A, the Fire Board meeting minutes for September 4th, 2025.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. So I move on to item 2B, the Traffic Calming Committee. We met on September 4th. I chair that committee. I don't usually ask myself any questions, so I'm pretty good at that. So does anybody have any questions in reference to the Traffic Calming Committee meeting? No? All right. Call for the approval of item 2B, the Traffic Calming Committee meeting, which was held September 4th, 2025.
All those in favor of accepting the Traffic Calming Committee meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye. Thank you. For tonight, any old business for public safety? Don't see any. I'm going to move on. We have a presentation for new business from someone who I consider my friend. I don't know. Is Noah, are you still on here? I don't see you. Yeah, there you go.
He was on.
Okay, there you go.
I've been listening the whole time.
Okay, fantastic. We have a presentation from our Montgomery County Prothonotary office on the program for domestic violence survivors. And I'm just happy I was able to pronounce that correctly, Noah.
Well, thank you so much. I think I have my outreach director, Ann Cornell, on this call as well. Does she have access to the PowerPoint?
Allison, can you let her in?
Just sent the request to share my screen. So.
Okay, it should be working.
Thank you, Ann, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you fine people tonight.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, commissioners, as well. Thank you, Commissioner Brockington, and the entire board. I really appreciate the time. I know you have a very busy meeting. You had a budget to present, a preliminary budget, and I know that you have a lot of important business to do. I think we have my presentation hopefully coming up. There it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer decided to freeze. That's where we're pulling it up. So
So Commissioner Brockington,
go.
you pronounced
There we go.
Prothonotary exactly right. That was really impressive. And I know that I'm not going to quiz any of the board members tonight on what a Prothonotary is. I know all of you, and I know you all know what it is, but I won't do it publicly. We're going to go over a little bit of what I do, what my office does, but the specific thing I want to talk about tonight is our Protection from Abuse Department, or PFA. You can see there on the screen, my team, Colleen Farrell, to my right in that picture is our supervisor. She's been doing this work, helping domestic violence survivors for over 25 years. And the rest of my team there, Jadalise, Katie, and Natalie, very, very proud of the work they do. If you can go to the next slide, Ann. So just a little bit about what the Prothonotary does generally. I am a countywide elected official. I represent the entire county, 860,000 people, bigger than 4 states in population, and very proud to do that. But I'm also proud of the fact that I grew up in Jenkintown and I live in Springfield and I love Cheltenham. So I love being able to come back and talk to the board. And I consider you all my friends. I'm just really excited to be here. So the office is where legal filings, legal pleadings are filed. So any legal paper that's not criminal, almost everything else gets filed in the Prothonotary's office. There's over 100 different kinds of filings that can get filed in our office. You see some of them on your screen. Landlord tenant, if you have a neighbor who gets evicted by the local district judge, they can appeal that eviction to my office. Many of the people that I talk to that know what a Prothonotary is, they file their divorce decree in our office. But it's all kinds of filings. If someone gets sued or sues somebody, those filings come through my office. So before you could see a judge, you can't just walk into a courthouse and walk into a courtroom. You got to file a legal paper, and those legal papers get filed in my office. The Protection from Abuse, or PFA department, is a critical office. This office is so important that it was one of the only offices that stayed open in the entire county during COVID. And I was very, very proud of that. Because as your police chief was saying earlier in his presentation, domestic violence, it's something that's prevalent all through the county. Unfortunately, it's not just in Cheltenham, it's in every township, every borough in the county. And we see spikes at certain times of year when it gets colder, as the police chief mentioned. And certainly during COVID, there was a spike. But we see about 30 to 50 people coming into our office a week that are seeking protection from the court. And a PFA is basically a restraining order. The only reason it's called you may know it as a restraining order is because California calls them restraining orders. Most of our TV shows and movies are made in California, so they call them restraining orders. But they're called protection from abuse orders in other states, including Pennsylvania. So it's basically a restraining order. Now, the process for getting a protection from abuse can be challenging. And there's a lot of different hurdles. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is how we're making some of those challenges or the challenging process a little bit easier. So the process, as you see on the screen, is to come to court administration, fill out a 25-page plus packet. This packet is a state packet. If I could make it 1 page and more accessible, I would. But it's a Commonwealth of Pennsylvania packet that they designed. It's over 25 pages. And they got to fill it out, any petitioner, and they would go to court administration, typically, come to my office. My analyst will pump in that information into a state system. Then they get to go before a judge. Then they come back to my office and my analyst put in the information from that order. And then they go to the sheriff because the sheriff has to serve that order on all the parties. So it's a challenging process. And what we see are people coming into our office, sometimes with bruises on their face, bruises on their arms from being abused that morning or the night before. Domestic violence absolutely cuts across all swaths of people, people that are in same-sex relationships. You see abuse. You see women abusing men. You see adult children abusing, or adults abusing their elderly parents. But the vast majority of people we see in our office are women, oftentimes their children in tow, coming in with needing help from the courts. And we are the first step in that process oftentimes. So you see here that we have 4 PFA analysts and a supervisor, which I discussed earlier, and we are open during courthouse during the courthouse closure during COVID. And there are ways to get PFAs on the weekends or after hours. If you can go to the next slide, Ed. So all that being said, I just described a challenging, daunting, scary process. But as elected officials, I think we all have the same goal. And I say this all the time, that my goal as an elected official is to wake up every single morning with one question in mind. How can I help people who need help the most? And I know all the commissioners on this board personally, and I know that you share this same sentiment, that you're here as an elected official to help our most vulnerable in our community. And the people that I'm describing that suffer from domestic violence and live through domestic violence need our help. So the two initiatives I'm about to describe are ways to make that challenging circumstance, that challenging process of getting help from the courts a little bit easier. It's never going to be easy, but make it a little bit easier, reduce the hurdles. The first program we instituted that I'm going to talk about was last year. It's called our Hope Card program. So as Prothonotary, when someone gets a final protection from abuse, now I described that process, and the end part of that process was going in front of a judge. That's for a temporary protection from abuse. The person has to go back within 10 days, and there's a full hearing with the person that she's accusing. And then a judge may issue a final protection from abuse. By law, as Prothonotary, I have to send that order. Along with that order, every single survivor is getting what I'm calling a hope card. Now, this was something that we did in conjunction with the police chiefs, with the district attorney, and I think it helps law enforcement. What it is a credit card sized document. You see it on the screen here. And it takes the final protection from abuse order. That's a regular sized document, multi-pages. I can tell you, as a former district attorney prosecuting domestic violence crimes, the survivors rarely kept their PFA order on their person because it was big, bulky. It may be multiple pages long. They would maybe keep it at home. Well, the Hope Card is a credit card sized document that has some of that pertinent information from that final PFA on one side. The plaintiff's name, the defendant's name, the state ID number, PFAD number, so that your police officers can easily look up information at a scene. If someone's walking the Cheltenham Mall and walking along and they're going to Chick-fil-A and there are abusers behind them, stalking them, they can go right up to a police officer and say, "Officer, I have a Hope Card, please help me." And that officer can see what's the information on this Hope Card and put in that information in their system and get everything they need right then and there. And on the back of the Hope Card is additional resources. Laurel House, Women's Center of Montgomery County, Victim Services Center of Montgomery County. These are resources for survivors that, right there in their purse, in their pocketbook, in their wallet, that gives them a little bit more assurance that they're protected. Not only do they have this final PFA, they have protection from the courts, but they have that Hope Card with important information so that they can maybe take the next step when they're ready to get some additional help and contact some additional resources. So I'm really, really proud of this program. This is a first of its kind in the Commonwealth. No other Prothonotary has done this. It's being done in Washington State by law. Every county has to do it. Massachusetts is looking to do it. And these states are calling me and my department asking, how did you do this? How can we, do what you do down in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania? And I'm really, really proud of this program. And if you can go to the next slide, please. So I described a few minutes ago that really kind of daunting process, going to court administration, filling out that 25-page packet, then going to my office, then going to the court. Well, if we can knock off 30 minutes to an hour and a half of the 6-7 hours that a person is in the courthouse in Norristown, that's a huge, huge victory. And we're doing just that. So last year we instituted what we're calling our online protection from abuse packet. That 25-page packet that has to be filled out now can be filled out anywhere where someone has an internet connection prior to going to court. So they can fill it out at their home. They can go to one of your 4 amazing public libraries and fill out that online packet. And it will go right to court administration in Norristown, and it will be waiting for them at the courthouse. We are only the second county Prothonotary's office in the Commonwealth to do this. Allegheny County is the only other one that has an electronic, allows for you to start the process of getting a PFA, by filling out the electronic packet. I am just so thrilled about this. And that's why I'm here tonight. And frankly, we're going around to all the municipalities all across this county, 62 municipalities, boroughs and townships, from Cheltenham out to Pottstown, up to East Greenville, back over to Lower Moreland, everywhere in between, to talk about these programs and to field any questions you have. So I'm really, really proud of this, and I'm grateful for the time, and I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Any questions for Noah Ennis at all? Let's see.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Harmon. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No, that's okay. Thank you. No question for Noah, but I just want to thank you, your team, not only for being here, not only for all the work that you do, and all these great new programs that you're implementing, both throughout the county, but also for being here and telling us and telling our residents about this, because frankly, you could create all the programs you want, but if nobody knows about it, then they're almost useless. So walking the walk and talking the talk is really appreciated, and I just want to thank you very much for being here tonight.
Yes.
Well, President Armin, I should have pointed out that the Hope Card idea came from one of your counterparts in Plymouth, a councilwoman. And I've met with many of you, commissioners, over coffee, over lunch, just to pick your brains, because I know that you are tapped into Cheltenham Township. You know what the residents need. So I really appreciate the collaboration and just honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any other comments for Noah? Noah and your staff, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Noah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You
So we're
too.
going to move on now to the next item for new business is item 4B. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize advertisement and consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 285 Vehicle and Traffic, Section 285-43, Street and Parking Regulation of Cheltenham Township Code to restrict parking on a portion of Surrey Road. I do have one question about this. When we say a portion of, can we be a little bit more specific, or is that the best way we can do when we say a portion? A portion can be 1 foot or 10 feet or.
Commissioner, it's more detailed in the actual ordinance. I was just trying to shorten the language for the
Language.
agenda.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. I got you. All right. I'm calling for the approval of item 4B.
All those in favor of recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize the advertisement of the proposed ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item 4C, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners adopt a resolution memorializing the township policy with respect to immigration enforcement and the role of the township officials and police officers in relationship to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE. Any questions in reference to item 4C from the commissioners? Commissioner Cherico?
Sure. Thank you so much. I do have a couple questions. And when it comes to the language in this resolution, I guess we'll start off with number 6. Cheltenham officials and police officers will follow the guidelines and best practices of modern policing as an agency accredited by the Pennsylvania Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. That can mean a whole lot of things. I don't know how it relates to the issue at hand, and what might a best practice or guideline at the PLEAC mean in relation to immigration.
I don't know, Chief, if you want to jump in on that one.
Yes, sir. I can comment on that. I think it has to do with professionalism and why we're doing our job, how we're doing our job. We're not solely stopping someone based on immigration status. That would be one thing. That would be best business practice not to do that. It's maintaining professionalism. It's tied to professionalism in law enforcement. So as I said at other public meetings when we spoke about this, we're not doing that here. We're not stopping anyone based on their immigration status here. We're We're welcoming to victims, regardless of your status. We're going to provide services. We're going to put you in touch with who you need, what help you need. That's not going to change. Nothing changes on that end. But I think that's referring to basically maintaining professionalism and how we do our job day in and day out and how we interact with the community.
And does it involve how you interact with other law enforcement agencies?
Well, some of that would be some of the information we have to share. We do have to share. But someone, for example, if someone's arrested, that's not an immigrant or is an immigrant and is arrested here from another country, we may have to notify their consulate, that type of thing. So there are certain legal things in there, and perhaps Mr. Diazzo can cover that end of it. I want to speak for him, but there are certain issues in there where the law is specific on what we have to do and who we have to notify on certain things. But overall, our practice is not to do that on a regular basis. We do not do that as a standard operating procedure. It's not standard operating procedure for our police department here.
And so you were saying that you have to ask basically their not their citizenship, but their there are laws or state laws that require you to ask
during the arrest process when someone is under arrest for violating a Pennsylvania crime. During the processing of that individual for violating Pennsylvania law for the criminal act that they committed, whatever it is, that would be one of the questions that we would ask that person. So we do have a duty and responsibility. In the example I used, that was just trying to give you an example on how that may work.
What
we
is
would have to notify their consulate that we have this person here, that they've been arrested.
What is the question that's asked?
What is your country of origin?
Okay, so what's your country of origin doesn't necessarily mean what's your immigration status.
No, it'd be just your country of origin. I'm just trying to give an example of an opportunity where that may come up, and it's during the arrest process, not during any other counter, not a car stop, not a ped stop, not an alarm call where you go to someone's house. It's not that. This is after the person has already been arrested for violating a Pennsylvania crime, Pennsylvania law, criminal activity, and then that would be part of the booking process for that.
Okay.
Just an example. I was just trying to give you a clear example I could point to.
No, I appreciate
that's
that.
the best one that came to mind.
Number 9 too. Township officials and police officers will strictly adhere to all laws governing the sharing of personal identifying information with the public and other law enforcement agencies. That just leaves it. It seems so open-ended when because are there laws that require you to share personal identifying information with the public and other law enforcement agencies, including immigration status?
There may be instances where we have to do that, depending on what the investigation we're working on, the criminal investigation we're working on. Mr. Diazzo, if you want to comment on that, I don't want to speak for you. If you want to just mention.
Yeah, I think what I'd be willing and able to say for something like this is that law enforcement agencies, they at times do and have to talk to one another, right? So different law enforcement agencies don't operate in silos. There are certain shared databases and things like that. In talking with the chief, again, I don't think that immigration status ever comes into play in the work that the local police do. But the statement in number 9 is actually a restrictive statement that the township police will follow the law with respect to any information that they have to share, and that essentially you don't go beyond what the law requires.
So okay. All right, I think I understand that. So when it comes to number 10, no township official or police officer will honor detainer requests from ICE without a properly executed judicial warrant. So, and I'm sorry for not maybe completely understanding how this all works. But the logistics of it, you have someone, in custody, that we think may be on ICE's wanted list. We don't, whether we know what their immigration status is or not, we're not holding them. How would a detainer request be received from ICE to Cheltenham Township? How would ICE know that you may have someone in custody that they want? I guess I just don't understand the process there.
Yeah, once we enter someone into the database, you know, we run that person. If they're red flagged, if they're a wanted person, that may trigger a notification to that organization. In other words, if there is a warrant for the arrest of someone on federal charges, be it drug trafficking, children trafficking, whatever the case is, human trafficking, that may trigger an alert to that agency that this person we have in custody here in Cheltenham. And that would be the process from entering that information into the national database system. They would get a red flag notified of that we have, you know, John Slavin.
So what's the process at that point? All right, ICE calls you, say, oh, we're coming to get him. You're like, well, you know, no, you're not. I want to see an executed judicial warrant.
I think what you're asking on this issue, this particular is, we're not holding somebody who says, hold this person, they're in violation of their immigration status, they're here illegally. Unless we have a Pennsylvania crime, we're not involved in this. We involve ourselves in Pennsylvania law. We're not holding somebody on immigration status. It gets that clear. We're not, unless there's a crime committed, Pennsylvania crime violation, crimes code violation, we're not doing that. We're not having the person in custody. We're not holding anybody to that. Montgomery County Prison has put out details, as I spoke at other meetings about that. They won't hold anybody, detain anybody based solely on that either. So we're not doing that. I think that was just for clarification purposes, why that was included in that. Mr. Diazzo, you can comment on that as well if you'd like.
If I may also
go ahead.
One of the things that's been happening in other places is that federal agencies have been reaching out to local municipal police departments and just saying, hey, hold this person, right? We don't care what you hold them on. Just keep them in your custody until we can get there. Yeah. And I think what this is specifically saying is we're not doing that. We are not going to do that. The only basis upon which we will honor a detainer request is if it is accompanied by a signed judicial warrant. And in that case, we have to, right? Yes. As I understand it. So
that's correct.
So the idea is, while we have to comply with certain judicial and legal requirements, we are not going to do anything that crosses that line one iota in this circumstance. And I think that is, in many respects, what our residents have asked us for. And it's something that we are committed to, whether we put this resolution together or not. And the fact that we're putting it down on paper hopefully alleviates any concern that we may deviate from those principles going forward.
My only other request is a question, and Mr. Diazzo, maybe you can answer this. I noticed that there's nothing in here that I could see that would prohibit ICE from using township property as a staging ground. Is there a reason that's not in this draft?
I don't think that it was intentionally not there. I suspect that. Are you talking about exterior property, interior property?
Anything, both.
I mean, generally, anytime anyone wants to use township property, there's a process that you have to go through to occupy that property. So I think township staff would not honor those requests. There's no reason why that language can't be incorporated here.
Yeah, I think using any sort of parks, library parking lots, township owned property, should be on that list as well. I would think. I thought that was what we were getting at initially when we talked about this last month. So I think that language should be added. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Commissioner Arman, are you done? You see your hand still up.
My hand was still up. I just wanted to just make a comment, and I did sort of say some of it, but the idea here is, I think the principles that are embodied in this resolution are principles this township holds very dear, and over the course of many discussions, frankly, I for one still have apprehension about drawing attention to our township, but at the same time, memorializing our principles, it is certainly important, and advising our residents that we mean what we say, and giving that reassurance is also important, and that's why we came up with this resolution. I do want to thank the chief. I want to thank Mr. Diazio for their hard work on this. The only other thing I'm going to add, and it came up in Commissioner Cherko's question about the Pennsylvania Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, is that, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe non-biased policing and training on non-biased policing, not just for immigration status, but for any bias whatsoever, is part of that accreditation process. And I think that is also what was being memorialized in that provision. You want to correct me if I'm wrong there?
No, you're
Chief?
correct, sir. I just want to let you know that that is something that's very important to us. That's something we have posted on our website, that any resident can go on and see Cheltenham Township's policy on bias-based policing, prohibited policy on bias-based policing. So that's something that is very important to us. We follow the best business practices in law enforcement. That's the whole idea of being an accredited agency. So that would be, I agree wholeheartedly with you on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief Slavin and Mr. Diazio. Thank you guys for all the work you had putting this together. So I'm going to call for the approval item 4C, but adding use of property. Just adding that statement in there, adding the use of township property as being a part of this resolution. So I call for an acceptance, Mr. President, for item 4C.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table. It is an important issue, so I will allow a little bit of public comment. We do have, it looks like
I didn't see that. Okay.
We have 3 folks who want to.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'll start with Tom, and you guys have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Would it be possible to start with Pam?
Okay, Pam.
You're muted, ma'am.
Yeah, right, thank you. Okay. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Pam Albright, and on behalf of the Cheltenham Immigration Response, which is an organization which several of us in this meeting are members of, I'd like to thank each of you for taking a written public stand in support of the immigrant members of our Cheltenham community. We really appreciate your willingness to meet with us, many of you individually, for open and honest discussions as you expressed your concerns about a public statement, even though your hearts were always in the right place. We are so pleased that as a board, you have ultimately taken this step to stand up against the brutal and inhumane actions of ICE, which have disproportionately targeted brown and black people in the Philadelphia area and across the country. ICE has even explicitly said they are targeting people who, quote, look like they might be immigrants, a policy that's so antithetical to the values of our community. And they continue to tear apart families and ruin lives here in the Philadelphia area. Just one recent example was an Inquirer article on October 12th, which reported on the detention of threatened deportation of an undocumented immigrant from Bolivia by the name of Johnny Marita Aguilar, who has been living in Northeast Philly, really close to us, has lived in the U.S. for nearly 20 years, and he's the sole support for his wife and their 3 children, who all are U.S. citizens. His 5-year-old son has a brain tumor, and in addition to this 5-year-old also has autism and a severe eating disorder. And his father, Mr. Aguilar, would go to his son's school every day on his lunch break from his construction job to feed the little boy, who is basically surviving on a Pediasure nutrition drink, which he gets through a syringe. He often only accepts the food from his father. Yet ICE has denied this father's request to remain in the U.S. for the sake of his son, stating that his reason is not adequate. We know we can't stop ICE from carrying out these callous and inhumane actions, but we don't have to help them. Your resolution would make it more difficult for ICE to do similar actions against vulnerable people here in Cheltenham, and for that, you should be proud, and I thank you. We are particularly pleased with the following statements that you've written in your resolution. You state clearly that township officials and police officers, will not ask individuals about their immigration status, will not enforce federal immigration law or conduct immigration enforcement actions, will not honor detainer requests from ICE without a properly executed judicial warrant, and that the township and its police department will not enter into ICE's 287G program. These are important declarations, and we applaud the commissioners for including them in the policy. At the same time, we do have some questions about the policy and some thoughts on ways to strengthen the intent of the policy. In the interest of time, we've designated a few of us to speak to these questions and suggestions. We would appreciate it if you could call on the following people in this order: Ben Flax, Tom Peterson, and David Flax. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Before I go to them, I'm going to go to Mark, and then I'll do your order. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Mark Lieberson, as a resident of Cheltenham. Just want a question of clarification. Chief said they ask anyone arrested their country of origin. Someone who was not born in this country, but is a naturalized citizen, and they're a citizen of this country, how would they answer that question?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, Chief. Someone who's arrested, you said that you're asking what the country of origin is. My question was simply that if they're not born in this country, but they're now a naturalized citizen, how would they answer that question?
I'm not sure. I would ask what the proper question would be. What is the country of origin? And that person would respond. I'm not sure if anybody says I was born elsewhere or not, or if I was naturalized. I'm not familiar with that happening here. I don't have any experience in that end of it as well.
Well, I'm just saying that if someone was born in Denmark,
I'm not sure exactly how that would be answered. I've never had that experience happen in 37 years.
The question is, what's your country of origin? But they're really a full-fledged American citizen, regardless of the crime that they're allegedly
That would
committed.
also be a question. Are you a citizen of the United States?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you're saying. I got you there.
Yeah, thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Thanks.
That's all I want.
Thanks, Mark. So we'll go with Ben, Tom, and then David.
Hi, thank you, commissioners. My name is Benjamin Flax. I have lived in Melrose Park for the past 26 years. It's hard to believe that just 1 year ago, I would leave my house without a second thought to go to work or a concert or run out simply for a hoagie at Wawa. Now, like many others, I am afraid when I leave home. Even though I am a U.S. citizen, naturalized, I worry that my masked ICE agents could surround my car, attack me no matter where I am. Because of the color of my skin, they could pull me from my car, handcuff me, or worse, like they have done with so many others. Remember, I am a naturalized U.S. citizen, and I have never committed a crime except the crime of being brown in America. I have read your proposed welcoming resolution, and it means a lot to me that my township commissioners have my back and the backs of all of our residents. I know ICE can still come to Cheltenham, but it is comforting to know that Cheltenham's police and staff will not help them more than they need to. I hope that when you pass the final law, you will take every step you can to protect me and our community from the threats that we see in the news every day now. Thank you.
Ben,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you, sir. Tom?
Yes, thanks, Commissioner Brockington. Hello, my name is Tom Peterson, and I'm a 33-year resident of Cheltenham Township. I live in the Roland Park area, and I am actually an immigrant born in Denmark. I am a member of the citizen group Cheltenham Immigration Response. We have been advocating for a legally enforceable welcoming policy for the immigrant communities in this township. These are our neighbors, our friends, and our family. I support Pam's positive statements regarding the proposed immigration resolution. Thank you to the members of this committee for your steps to codify the township's position on immigrant rights. Based on our review of Cheltenham's charter, we believe that Cheltenham could enact a new ordinance for the welcoming policy rather than a resolution. An ordinance is a more formal document and has the full force of law, including potential penalties for violating the ordinance. An ordinance is also meant as a longer-term solution than is a resolution, which can be considered temporary. While the current commissioners and the police chief may be in support of this resolution, a change in leadership could result in the overturning of this resolution with just another resolution. People's lives are at stake. ICE has shown no restraint in their detention and mistreatment of people based on racial profiling. I have a question, but I'll save it right till the end. I want to let you know that we're holding a rally at the Glenside train station this Saturday, and we'll be addressing immigration policy, and we invite all of you to attend. David Flax would like to speak next on this issue. Thanks, and we look forward to continuing to work with the members of this committee and the full Board of Commissioners.
Hey, Tom, real quick, can you tell us the time at the Glenside train station?
Yes,
You said
it's
Saturday.
9:45 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Glenside train station.
I'm sorry I cut you off. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Not a problem. Thank you. And then just to finish up, I did have a question. Would you be so kind as to offer an explanation of why you are proposing a resolution and not an ordinance to cover this critical subject? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. And I'll let our solicitor weigh in as well. But our charter has certain delineated bases for that require an ordinance in order to take legislative action, and anything that doesn't fall into those categories, we could take legislative action through a resolution. This particular resolution that would have the force of law within our township is not one of those enumerated categories, and therefore is not it has the same force as a resolution that it would as an ordinance, and that's why we chose to go this route. Mind you, I think most of our neighbors have not taken the step of passing a resolution, and so this felt like the appropriate method for memorializing our principles. And just one other point, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance, future boards, for better or for worse, would have the authority to change them, overturn them, eliminate them as they deem appropriate. But I think the principles that we've memorialized here will stand firm for this board and many boards to come.
Mr. Diazio, do you want to chime in, or are you okay with that?
I think Commissioner Arman gave a good analysis there. I think I'd like to reiterate what he said, in the sense that we looked at what a number of communities around the county and elsewhere were doing. That's what, when public came to some of the last couple meetings, they were encouraging us to look at that. Some of the feedback that we got from the initial from some commissioners was that they wanted it to be more formal than just a statement on the website or an internal memo. And so that's why we went the formal resolution route. An ordinance takes a number of months to get passed. It has to be advertised in the newspaper. And the Cheltenham process is that it would go through a committee process, then it would have to be advertised, then it would be advertised for a period of time, and then would come back for a vote. And internally, I think staff was a little bit concerned that at the earliest, it would probably be December or January before the board would be able to take any action on this. And given the importance of the issue to the community, wanted to get something done, to Commissioner Arman's point, that did have some teeth to it, accomplished as soon as possible. And the resolution route was the way we felt accomplished all of those goals.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio and President Arman. We're going to move on to this last comment on this to David.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is David Flax. I've been a resident of Melrose Park for over 30 years, and I'm also a member of Cheltenham Immigration Response. First of all, thank you for the time and effort you took to craft a welcoming policy for the residents of Cheltenham Township. With this policy, you have expressed a commitment to the immigrant community and a willingness to protect them. Like other communities in this area and across the country who have taken these and other concrete steps to address the current threats to our neighbors, Cheltenham Township has clearly signaled its intention to remain focused on its stated core mission of serving and protecting all members of the Cheltenham Township community. We at CIR believe that there are several other concrete actions and prohibitions that, if included in this policy, would further support the goals you seek to achieve. Specifically, CIR would like to see an expansion of item 8 of the proposed policy involving the activities of law enforcement. To provide maximum protection to our residents, CIR recommends that the policy also specify that no Cheltenham Township agency or law enforcement official will grant any federal agency access to township-owned facilities for an immigration enforcement operation, or assist or support such an operation in any way, including providing information, investigating or interrogating individuals, or establishing traffic perimeters. We recommend that Section 10 of the proposed policy be expanded to clarify that without a judicial warrant, no Cheltenham Township law enforcement official or agency will support ICE or Customs and Border Patrol by granting them access to a person in the custody of law enforcement, transferring a person, permitting agents to use facilities, information, or equipment, including electronic databases, or responding to inquiries regarding an individual's personal information. With additions like these, CIR believes Cheltenham Township would have a robust policy designed to accomplish your stated mission. To ensure the policy is faithfully executed by township staff, we recommend the township include in the policy a directive to the police department and other township agencies to create specific instructions implementing the policy and requiring them to train employees on how to use them. Finally, to ensure that all our residents understand their rights, we recommend that the policy require community outreach, including written information translated into the most widely used languages in our community. CIR is willing to assist you in this endeavor in whatever way we can. With your permission, CIR would like to submit within the next couple of days a document reflecting our additions to the proposed welcoming policy. Thank you again for the fine work you have already done to protect our community in this turbulent time.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I ask that you send that to our township solicitor and our township manager.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dan George, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thanks to the people that have already spoken. And I'll echo wholehearted support for the modifications that were recommended by David Flax. And I also want to ask Chief Slavin, what would the response of Cheltenham police be if they see a federal agent acting in a manner that the local police would be considered unlawful under state and local law?
Yes, sir. Our officers have a duty and responsibility. A crime is committed in their presence to respond to that, prevent that from happening. We're going to protect everyone. That's our job. That's what we signed up for. And that's what their expectations are that I've been preaching to my officers when we come into contact with the type of situations. So you can rest assured that is what we've been preaching to our officers. That's what we've been telling our officers here. If there's a violation of law committed in your presence, make the arrest or intervene.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. All right, so we're going to move on. So what we're going to do tonight, I think we want to vote on this, but we also want to take into consideration some of the additional information that might come aboard with David, that what he's going to send, and we can also add that when we vote on it next Wednesday. All right, is everybody, the commissioners, okay with that? We move on. All right, so I'm going to call for the approval of item 4C, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners adopt a resolution memorializing the township policy with respect to immigration and enforcement. Mr. President?
Sorry, I was muted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
thanks to everybody
I
who
want to thank
provided
everyone.
feedback.
Yep, Ben, David, everyone. All right, so now we're going to move on to item 5 for tonight, which is citizen forum for public safety. If you have something you want to speak to, if you haven't already, raise your hand. Keep in mind you will have 3 minutes, and we still have some other meetings to go on to tonight. Just as a little side note, we just still have a couple of them. Commissioner Lewis, I saw you yawning. Can't do that, sir. Still early. I don't see anyone's hands going down. Don't see any. I'm going to call for the adjournment of tonight's public safety meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.